Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Everton won, Manchester United won. It was a game filled with thrills and spills today. To be honest, I feel like I'm sitting here with egg on my face because a part of me thought, even if we draw this game, there's no way it's going to be due to our own mistake, right? Like it's not going to be a defensive error. It's going to be because Everton played well and we played well, and we both exchanged good blows. But man, it's just such a confusing result. It's easy to get your emotions hopped up and think that this is a bad result. And to be honest, it probably is. But let's just see where the show goes. We're going to be talking about that. Joining me is Rieta, as usual, who giving me his thoughts and his tactical breakdown of some of the pivotal moments that led to this. So let's get into it, man. It was a game for the purists. It was a classic Goodison Park match filled with tenacity, filled with everything you want, end-to-end action, more so in the first half. In the second half, United were a bit under the pump, especially in that last 20 minutes. But it was everything you want in a Goodison Park game, except for the draw if you're a United fan. And I just think how unfortunate that the one goal Everton gets, it's got nothing to do with tactics.
Yeah.
It's a blatant mistake from David De Gea, which on any other day, probably that doesn't get nicked into the back of the net. On any other day, that like toe pokes him and goes straight up in the air. But before we get to that, what were your thoughts on the diamond? That's on everybody's lips. What were your thoughts on the diamond?
On the diamond?
Mm-hmm. The formation.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, you can tell what this game has done to me. I really liked it. We didn't win, which is unfortunate, but I thought at the start we were under the cosh. I was like, whoa, what's going on and what's Ole doing? But I think it really worked well for our players. I think he read that the game was going to be won and lost in the midfield, and more so in the first half, the diamond really helped us control the midfield. It was more Matic sitting and McTominay and Fred pushing up from the midfield, and that really helped us control the game. So I really liked it.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it was a diamond, to be honest. I know people are going to argue and people are going to be there with their technicalities. Well, technically it was a diamond because Bruno Fernandes is a cam and he's not a striker. But I just feel like when I watched the game, Greenwood was drifting off to the right a lot. Martial was drifting off to the left a lot. And Bruno was doing a lot of running in the middle channel. Like, to me, it kind of looked like a 4-3-3 at times. A 4-3-3 holding rather than attacking. 2 box-to-box, 1 CDM, and then a false 9. That's what it looked like to me at times. But then when we were defending, obviously the shape changed back. And obviously because Bruno is the link between the final third and the middle of the park, he's obviously going to be all over the show anyways.
Yeah.
So,
I think it was extremely interchangeable. I mean, Bruno moves around a lot and is very productive. And yes, Greenwood kept tugging into midfield when he had to, and they'd go wide when they have to. So it was extremely interchangeable.
It was a very versatile formation, but look, I've said this in a podcast like 3 weeks ago, before the winter break. I've got no problem with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer experimenting and trying new things. I do have a problem when he's doing that in games that matter. Like, I have a serious problem with that. And yeah, you can say we played well in the first half an hour. And yeah, you can say Everton shouldn't have won because it was a mistake from David De Gea. And we can sit here till the cows come home and talk about why we lost today. But ultimately, I just think this is not the game where you take risks. These are not the games where you try out a new formation that you haven't tried all season. These are not the games where you play a system and you expect your players to adjust. And if your players do adjust, and they do play as well as United did in that first half, that's just lucky. Like, a formation is not supposed to work the first time you try it. This is not FIFA. You don't just switch tactics, before in the pre-game menu and then just adjust with the way you control your players. That's not how it works. These are real players who need real time to adjust to real systems against real opposition. And when Everton started attacking against us, we saw how frail the system was. I'm not going to say I'm not a fan of the diamond. I'm going to say I'm not a fan of playing new formations in such big games. Yeah. That's what I'm going to say. That's my stance. It's got nothing to do with the diamond. It's got to do with the fact that we haven't played it before. I don't know what you think of that.
Now, I agree with you. It was extremely risky, but I can also see why he did it. And to be honest, after thinking about it, I want him to do it more in these type of games because when I think back, we've played teams like this where they don't really sit back. They go at us and they give us a run for our money. They put us under pressure. And for the longest time, we buckle under the pressure. And then from what he did to that, I realized it's because they overrun us in the midfield because we always had a problem there. So I think it was very smart for him to sacrifice an attacker and put one midfielder there to make up the numbers. For the longest time in the first half, like Everton had nothing. They were lucky to get the goal, and they would have spells where they counter-attack, but then we dominated the game. And for that, I really liked it.
I mean, it was tenacious in the first half and very passion-filled, bar the first 12 minutes. But I just think, when you look at the second half, it's such a contrasting image, And that could come down to fitness. That could come down to a lot of things, which I'm not going to get into because it's ultimately just a very silly argument. The truth is we just weren't good enough in the second half and we didn't take our chances. A lot of people coming in with completely contrasting opinions. And, the United fan base is so divisive nowadays, If you ollie out, the formation is trash and we didn't create enough chances. If you ollie in, we did create enough chances and Everton were lucky to get the goal. But if you're ollie unsure or if you're pragmatic and you're sitting on the fence, actually, what happened was we had a good first half and then the start to the second half wasn't that bad and then it just dropped off and it just got worse. That's what actually happened. And actually, Greenwood missed a header that he probably should have put on target. Igalo missed a chance that he probably should have scored. Matic hit the post. So that's already 3 chances that should be troubling Pickford. Pickford made 2 world-class saves. Yeah, Pickford made 2 world-class saves, just like David De Gea made 2 world-class saves. So if you're saying we didn't create enough chances in this match, unless you mean we should have created 10 clear-cut chances, then cool, I'm not going to argue with you. I've got nothing to say to you. But if you're saying we didn't create enough chances at all, you're wrong because we did, and we just didn't take them.
Yeah, you'd be very wrong to say that. Like, I'm shaking a little. It was that nerve-wracking. Like, I feel like it's a bit unfortunate because I do think there was a lot of positives in this game from how we played. But Everton were on it. Everton were on form and they went in this game and they thought they could take us apart. And usually, this United team would fall apart with the team playing like this. We've seen it numerous times. But we fought. Won the formation. I think it worked. Yes, it did drop off in the second half, and defensively it wasn't amazing, but it really helped. It worked more so in the first half. On transition, the movement of the ball, like it's improved so much. Like we've complained about this so much over the season. Like I remember back to Newcastle where we barely made a chance in the top of the season, but we've improved so much in that department. And I also think he played this formation to go man on man and go one-on-one with every single player. And like we fought. We showed a lot of character in that game.
Yeah.
It's something we haven't seen a lot from United in the past. To analyze the second half, I do think we dropped off. I think we decided to play a little more on the counter, which didn't work in our favor because then Everton did start dominating the midfield. And the amount of corners they had, geez, my life. I was on the edge of my seat. Like, I have no idea how to score one of those corners. And I think credit has to go to Maguire for that. But, and with us dropping off...
We defended the corners very well.
Yeah, we struggled to counter. And it really killed our momentum. But I'm impressed that we didn't lose this game, to be honest.
I think a lot of people are going to disagree with you because emotions are running very high right now. But once everybody calms down and we move 3 days from this nothing result, people will realize how good of a performance it actually was. Like that first half with Manchester United, that was probably one of the best attacking displays I've seen in a long time from United, especially after going 1-0 down. I heard someone make a joke during the game that Oli paid De Gea to concede that goal just to motivate us because the response was pretty bloody impressive. Like we always sat here talking about how, when this team goes behind, they're not getting a result out of the game. Well, they did continue to push on. Again, I can give you 5 chances that we created in this game that we did not take. 5 chances. That's excluding Bruno Fernandes' goal, by the way, which was a long-range shot. And whether you think Pickford should have saved it or not, he didn't. So, sorry to bust your bubble, he didn't. And Bruno scored. Matic had 2 really good shots. One of them hit the post. One of them was saved by Pickford. So that's 2. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of the ones that didn't involve Igalo.
Like moving away from the attacking side, the defensive display was also impressive. Yes, the pace of I forgot who the striker was, but his pace did trouble Maguire and Lindelof a little. But a lot of important tackles, positioning, Matic was very important in the tackles, and like we fought. I admire how courageous we were in the second half.
Yeah, definitely. I think Luke Shaw had a half chance as well in the first half, by the way. But yeah, defensively we were very solid today, and I had no doubts that Manchester United would have like if De Gea doesn't make that mistake, we win this game because Everton did not have the quality to break us down. That's what people are gonna ignore. Yeah. Everton did not score a goal from open play, not really. It was a mistake from David De Gea, and that put them in the game. And I just think that it's very unfortunate. And this happened at Old Trafford as well, except at Old Trafford we didn't play as well as we did today. At Old Trafford, I don't know what happened. I think it was Lindelof and De Gea both making a mistake. Oh no, De Gea made a mistake and then it bounced off Lindelof and went into the goal. And then Everton celebrated like they won the league. And then we scored at the other end, and the same thing happened. We just couldn't do anything in the second half.
That will happen in football. That's just how it is. Like you can prepare, but
mistakes happen. Yeah, mistakes happen. But, like you can't prepare for that.
Yeah. That just makes it. But that. It is also very impressive because we went away to a team that's on form and they didn't down to. They played very, very well, and we still managed to get out with at least a point.
Yeah, again, my opinion from the preview is not going to change. This Everton result is highly dependent on what happens against City. If we do get a result against City, we'll be sat here going, well, the Everton result doesn't matter that much. I think the reason why people wanted 3 points from this game is so that we have leeway against City and margin for error. People think we won't beat City, so we need to beat Everton. And football's not that simple. We'll just have to see what happens against Manchester City because we have beat them this season quite a few times. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I think this result will definitely be a difficult one to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's not a loss. And if you want any positives from this result, number one, we played well in a system that we don't usually play. Number two, we didn't really concede a goal from open play. It was a mistake from David De Gea. And number three, 1 beaten in 5 games now. So make what you want of that. Yeah, we haven't done that in a very long time. 1 beaten from 5 games. So for me, as far as I'm concerned, I think it was a bit arrogant for us to expect a win at Goodison Park when we couldn't get it at Old Trafford. Goodison Park has always been a difficult game for us. And I just think, and I'm not trying to make excuses, obviously we should have won, but, looking back on it, actually, this was always going to be a hard game. And people made it seem like we were just going to run over Everton when it clearly wasn't the case. They've got a good goalkeeper. They've got a solid system that they understand very well and that works for all their players when they're up for it. And I just think that United definitely weren't good enough in the second half, Yeah. First half, I'm not hearing it. First half, we made a lot of chances, but second half, it was a questionable performance. Second half, definitely.
I guess you can say we need to take our chances more.
We do take our chances, but it's one of them things, mate. It's one of them things. Like when Pickford makes the saves that he made. I mean, Greenwood should have taken his chance. Igalo should have taken his chance. And Greenwood, I'm not saying Greenwood should have scored from that header because it was a difficult header. I'm just saying he should have got it on the target because half of scoring a goal is getting it on the target. Then you're relying on an error from the goalkeeper or him not making a world-class save. But if you miss the target, then you're 100% not going to score. As redundant as that sounds.
You can't really fault Igalo too much. I mean, what more could he have really done there? It was just a really good save.
He couldn't. It's unfortunate for Igalo because he was only on for such a short period of time, and we'll get to that when we get to the play ratings. Because I have an interesting point about Igalo. I think. I don't want to ruin the show. I'll say what I have to say about Igalo later. But yeah, it's unfortunate because he only came on for such a short period of time. But the reality is we needed that goal, and he was the one in that situation to take it. So, and the fact that he didn't, it doesn't help. It just doesn't help.
Yeah.
I think Bruno made some questionable decisions early on in the second half when he took a couple of shots, and I was just like, mate, calm down, calm down. We get it. You scored a long range goal the first time, but you just need to calm down a bit, because he skied quite a few, let's be honest. So it's interesting. Shall we get into the play ratings then?
Yeah. Let's.
David De Gea out of 10. I think he redeemed himself, to be honest with
He
you.
did.
Can I be 100% honest with you? I think that second chance right after he conceded the goal could have been 2-0. And any other goalkeeper on the planet is probably letting that in.
Yeah.
Most goalkeepers, at least.
And in the second half, I think he made 2 world-class saves. Like, it would have been so much worse.
Throughout that game, he made 4 or 5 really good saves, and three of those being world-class.
Yeah. Look, it was a mistake.
Just like Pickford.
Mistakes happen. It's not like De Gea makes mistakes every week. So, like, it's just one of those things.
I heard some people saying get Henderson in. Like, go sit down, mate. Go sit down. Yeah. Pickford at the other end was exactly the same as David De Gea today. They both made one mistake, and then they were both brilliant after making the mistakes.
Yeah.
If you consider the Bruno goal a mistake, anyways.
De Gea is a top keeper, so I don't know what people are.
So what are you giving him out of 10?
As much as he redeemed himself, I can't give him a high rate. He did. He is the reason we didn't win the game today, to be brutal about it. So I think I'm going to give him 5.
You're breaking up there, mate.
5.
Yeah, you were breaking up there, mate. I didn't get all of what you said, but you gave him 5, right?
Yeah.
All right. 5. I think 5 is fair. Because his mistake cost us the game, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
It literally cost us the game.
Yeah.
Crazy. Aaron Wan-Bissaka out of 10.
He had a good game. I think he had a good game. I think he pushed up. People are always going on about it. Analysts, he needs to put him more in attack. So he did that today. He put a few crosses. Yes, in the second half he did sink, so that did decrease. But then I think he had a good game. Made some good tackles. Textbook Wan-Bissaka. So I think he deserves a 6.5.
I think a 6.5 is fair because he didn't really do anything that made me think, wow, we might have actually won if there was someone on the end of that helping him. You know, I think he won a couple of corners, maybe one, but a lot of his crosses went out for a throw-in because they came off an Everton defender, which doesn't really help. But Lindelof out of 10. Hard game for him.
I think between the two centre backs, he was the weak link. It wasn't a horrible game, but you really struggled with the pace. Just kept going at him, and he was struggling to contain it. So, 5.5.
5.5. Interesting. My opinion on Lindelof is not changing. Like, you could have put Bailey there, it wouldn't have made a difference. Everton didn't score because of Lindelof, they scored because of De Gea. So there you go. Yeah. Maguire out of 10.
Also struggled with the pace, but he made up for it in other departments. I think his positioning was good as well.
I think Maguire was perfect today.
Yeah, like the headers.
With dealing with headers.
Jeez, oh my God. Like, he basically won every single header, which is impressive. And it's one of the reasons
you're paid £80 million for a clean sheet.
Yeah. So, he had a good game. 7.
7, definitely. I think he was the best defender today, actually. Luke Shaw out of 10.
Defensively, as always, like, I can't say much about him. Like, it was what Luke Shaw does. Yeah. He wasn't as prolific going forward as maybe the last 3 or 2 games, but he was still decent. And defensively, he was spot on. He didn't have a bad game. So I'm going to give him a 6.5.
6.5, fair enough. Nemanja Matic, candidate for man of the match for some people. Out of 10.
I agree. Like, the holding position really works with Matic. And he redeemed himself. Last season, he was probably one of the reasons we lost this game. Because he had probably his worst United game ever. But he really redeemed himself today. He just sat there. He didn't really bother too much going forward. And he was winning so much. Like, he's a very big part of why Everton didn't score goal from open play today. So I was really impressed with him. I think this was a 7.
I agree with the 7. He was actually playing a CDM role alone today as well, which was interesting. He didn't need support, really. Not really.
I think
Fred out of 10.
Oh, before we move on to that, I think McTominay did drop back a little bit, but I think for most of the game he was alone there, which is something some United fans have been crying out for. So yes, it wasn't in the scenario that we're thinking. Most United fans want the 4-3-3 with one holding midfielder, but at least we saw that it could work.
Yeah.
McTominay, this guy's good. He's a really good player. I think maybe he came off because maybe he's just come back and he's not 100% in terms of fitness. But I think he had a really good game. Distribution's good. Like I say, unlike Fred, who makes passes around him as a really good 8, he pushes forward a lot, and that really helped as well. And he did drift off to the right a lot in the game, and that also helped us. So I think he deserves a 7.
I don't know about a 7. I don't think he had a bad game. I think it was a standard McTominay game, but I think he was below the heights that we expect from him. So I don't know if I agree with the 7, but it's one of them. It's one of them.
Game. It was a difficult game. I feel
it was a difficult game, and maybe I'm being harsh because I was focused on other areas. I mean, there's so much to take in with this game, so I won't comment too much on McTominay. I just think that he wasn't having as bad as a game as some people say he was, because I think you remove McTominay and a lot of what Everton is able to do is almost multiplied. I think he was very disruptive, and he was a thorn in Everton's side in the middle of the park. He's an extremely hard. We say Fred is a hard worker, but this guy, like, I don't even know. He's an android. McTominator, McSauce. He doesn't get tired.
I've already touched on the extra midfield. It really worked because we could hold the ball much better. And with McTominay, like, this purpose in holding the ball. He won't pass it. He won't make the safe pass. Sometimes he'll hold the ball and try to look for the best pass. Sometimes be very quick about it, and his movement also good. So he really helped with that.
Yeah, so he's not predictable.
Yeah.
Fred, out of 10.
He's really improved, eh? He was always decent, but I feel like he's gone up a level since Bruno Fernandes has come. I think offensively it helps a bit more than he used to. A lot of it used to be side to side, and he used to annoy me. So, yeah, I've been very impressed with him. I think he had a good game. I think he also deserves a 7.
Interesting. Got the same rating as Matic. I don't know if I agree with that one, Chief, but, it's fan opinion is fan opinion. You got to respect a fan opinion. I don't know what I'm on about, to be honest. Bruno Fernandes out of 10.
Like, what more can we say? What more can you say about this player? Like,
I feel like he dropped off a bit today, Like, he was still amazing, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I think first half, phenomenal. I think without him, so many things we do just don't happen. Like, on the transition with that team that maybe can't break down defenses, and was such a better team with Bruno Fernandes in, and he scored. That's textbook Bruno Fernandes. On the edge of the box, shoot and get a goal. So I was really impressed with him in the first half. I think he really controlled the game. Second half, I don't know. I think he might have gotten a bit tired because he wasn't running around as much as he does, and that you could visibly see that it's affecting us because on the transition we weren't as good anymore. So I still think he's man of the match for the first half. So I'm going to give him an 8.
It's interesting. I thought he was a bit sluggish. Like, he had a good first half. Yeah, I agree. And I don't mind Bruno Fernandes losing the ball in the middle of the park because that's what your cam's going to do. They're going to make the risky passes that get intercepted half the time. They're not all supposed to be great through balls, but I just feel like he was a bit sluggish. And I think some of his decisions were questionable. Some of them. Not all of them.
Yeah,
some
of
them.
There was that chip from the free kick, and I was like, mate, what are you doing? But that is what Bruno Fernandes is about. He's a risk taker. Like, I heard a stat
exactly.
Last season that De Bruyne loses the ball the most in the Man City midfield. And this is a lot because it's Kevin De Bruyne. So these top players are not scared to take chances. So when things are not...
Like I said, I don't mind when he loses the ball.
Yeah.
I don't mind that he loses the ball a lot. I was just saying I thought he was a bit sluggish compared to usual. Like, usually he's on top of his game and it's just so amazing. Whereas today, I just feel like it wasn't the same, and maybe I don't know. But I feel like if his worst game so far at United was today, and that says a lot because he was still one of the man of the match candidates.
Yeah, I think my ratings are killing me because if I gave the other two midfielders a 7, I have to give him an 8.
I mean, I suppose it's about fan opinion, so I ain't gonna fight it because it's Bruno. Greenwood out of 10 before we get to Marshall.
It was one of those games, where he's really not in it. He did drop into midfield and help a little. But in terms of offensive play and in terms of being a striker, I don't think he was that amazing. I don't think he tried drift off like Martial. Like they tried to play the same way. They drift off to the wings and they'll come back and play Nera as well. But it didn't really work with him. So I think it was an average game. I'm going to give him a 6.
Yeah, my opinion on Greenwood's never going to change. He's young, he's inconsistent, he's inexperienced, and making him flip-flop between positions and systems that he's never played in is obviously going to bring out the worst in him because he's a young player. If it works, amazing. But if it doesn't, you just look like a prat with egg on your face as a manager, don't you? Chance. So my opinion with Greenwood is not going to change. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but there was that one chance where he had so much space and it was like a classic Greenwood. Brilliant finish and it's a goal. And then he passed to Martial. I was so surprised.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, people think Greenwood is this messiah sent from the heavens. Like, he's gonna make mistakes. Like, he's not God. He's not perfect. Like, I just think some people lube this kid up too much. Like, he's brilliant, don't get me wrong. And he could be a world-class player one day, and he looks like he has the potential to be a really amazing striker. But, like, calm down. Put your willy back in your underwear because he's only been here for a year or two. Like, and he hasn't played a consistent run of games where we can actually look at him and say, week in, week out, he's really good. Off the bench, week in, week out, he was really good at a point. But now he's starting in big games where he's really getting tested, where the passes aren't coming through, the chances aren't coming as easy, the defenders aren't as tired, and he's having to work for his goals. And I just think it's natural that he's going to struggle because he's human. Just like Martial, he's going to have bad games. And I just think we need to be a little bit patient with Greenwood and not be overcritical, but like calm down. Like stop. I don't know. Like stop idolizing the guy as if he's the reason why Manchester United are still where they are. You know?
Like I have no problem with overhyping him, or hyping up. Let me not say overhyping him. I have no problem with hyping up, but we mustn't expect that he won't have bad games. I think we'd be lying to ourselves if we did that.
Look, if you love Greenwood and you post statuses of him every day, that's your business. I ain't gonna tell you not to post or to overhype a player. Like if you love a player, you love a player. So that's your business. But this whole notion that Greenwood should be starting in big games, it's starting to sound like rubbish to me because he's proven that he's not as consistent as people think he is, and that perhaps we shouldn't do what we did with Dan James and just keep throwing him in, because you may think that Greenwood is not as one-dimensional as Dan James and his natural ability alone is enough for him to make an impact in the side. But actually, you look at performances like today and you need more than just talent. You need to make intelligent decisions, and in order for that, you need experience and wisdom. Wisdom comes with experience. And I just don't think he's been out on the field long enough to be as intelligent as a Tony Martial to make something out of nothing. Not every game, and sometimes he's gonna miss the chance. That's gonna happen. And I just feel like in a team that doesn't create that many chances, it's scary to see such a young lad have so much pressure on his shoulders because he's expected to score with every chance he gets when he's only getting one chance a game when he's starting, one or two chances really. So I just think people need to calm down with Greenwood and relax with the Greenwood agenda, because I'm not too confident about Greenwood because of what happened to Dan James. He might get run into the ground.
Yeah, I think that is the worry, and it is an interesting debate because I think where some of the people are coming from is that yes, he's still young and he still needs time to grow, but he's the best of what we have. I think that's the argument. But then you don't want to sacrifice this player because you can see that he's primed to be a really good player and you want to develop him really, really well. So it's an interesting dilemma.
Well, even if you think he's the best player we have in terms of talent, he ain't the best player in terms of experience because that's just false. He's new to the team setup. Yeah. So
I mean more so to the right wing.
Do I even need to pull up match records to show that he hasn't played well? Yeah, I know. I just think that, if you're going to make the argument that he's one of the best of what we got and in terms of squad depth, then yeah. But I mean, today he was playing in a position where Igalo might have had a shout for a start and he could have come off the bench. But I'm not going to start that agenda because Igalo missed his chance as well. So I just think with me, it's about the expectation. It's not about whether or not Greenwood should be in the team. It's about the expectation and how people talk about him like he's this magnificent player who never misses and scores every time he touches the grass. And it's false. today is not the only example. And I'm not against Greenwood starting because, like, you're right. There's no one else on the right wing to start. Like, it's better than Mata starting every week or Pereira or Lingard. But at the same time, I don't expect much from him, especially when we're playing a diamond formation we've never played before for the first time in a game that we should be winning to get top four at Goodison Park, where we lost 4-0 last year. Like, all the odds were against him, you know?
I think Igalo will really suit this game. I think maybe Ola just doesn't fully trust him yet, but we played a 2, and we needed a player who can drift to the side and still be good in holding his position in the center. And Igalo is perfect for that because he's quick. We've seen in the few games that he's played that he's not foreign with playing on the wing. He can't do that if he has to drift. So I think he would have been perfect for this game.
Yeah, it was just a very weird formation today, but ultimately, I think if you interpret today as a 4-4-2 diamond, and you actually think Greenwood and Martial were playing as a classic two-striker combo, then actually Igalo would have made sense because in a 4-4-2, you don't want two strikers who are exactly the same. You want strikers who are different so that there's options up front and so that you're not very predictable. If you have two strikers who are exactly the same, well, then there's no point in playing the 4-4-2, you know? Yeah. So I just think today's formation wasn't as much of a diamond as people think it was, and it was more just a fluid 4-3-3 at times. And maybe that's why Greenwood started ahead of Igalo, because on the wing, I don't think there is a debate for who's more agile and who's got more pace. But like I said, I'm not going to start the Igalo agenda because I don't believe Igalo's the answer to the problem. I'm just saying, don't get your hopes up because he's young. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. You know,
we've seen Dan James there, but I feel like him not playing was only worrying about the final product because he's quick, he'll run, but then in terms of scoring, and he's not really a striker, so
he's not there. Yeah, definitely.
All those elements came in picking Greenwood to play.
Yeah, Tony Marshall out of 10. Before we go on too much of a rant, what did you think of him?
He couldn't score, but I think he had a good game. Like, he worked really hard. Tracking back was amazing. He was a threat in the wing because he used to play there, and he's very skillful and dribbling abilities are very good, so that really worked. And of course, he dropped back in the midfield and helped out there from time to time. So I think he had a pretty good game. I'm gonna give him a 7.
Interesting. I saw him whipping across to Greenwood. Actually, it was a pretty saucy cross, but other than that, I didn't really see anything that made me jump out. Everything else was pretty much something I expect from a left winger / left striker. But yeah, that was your player ratings, guys. Let us know in the comments down below what you think if you've listened this far in the video. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out of 10.
8. I know we didn't win, but I don't see what you did wrong. It was the keeper.
Oh,
can you hear me?
Cut off there for a sec.
Okay, I'll start again.
I can hear you now. You just cut off for a sec.
I'm going to give him an 8 because I think tactically he got it right. Yes, he did take a risk, but I think we played well. So
I don't know. I'm on the fence. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Look, the goal was...
Yeah, I'm on the fence. Like, I've...
And the goal... I think the goal was De Gea's fault. And bar the goal, we probably would have won this game. And I think all the decisions he made worked out. And I think even the substitutes are pretty good. So I think he deserves an 8.
I mean, that's. I guess, but I don't agree with experimenting. Like, I don't think this result is enough for me to say that this formation was the right formation going into this game. Like, it was one game, and yeah, based on today alone, he didn't really do much wrong. But I just think actually, like, I don't know, maybe it's the disappointment of the result that's getting to my head.
Look,
because the second half was awful from Manchester United. Like, that was awful.
But I think he did try to fix that because he put Mata in and he went back to, I think, more of a 3 up front. But as you can tell, I'm all about the tactics. And I just think in trying to interpret the game, I feel like if we played any other way, we might have lost the team, honestly. I feel like our midfield being so good was very important and helped us get a draw.
There's no doubt that in the first half in this game was magnificent. There's no doubt that this first half we created a lot of chances that we could have scored. And I'm not against that. There's no doubt that this formation has potential. There's no doubt that the goal that we conceded today was De Gea's fault and nobody else's. But I just think in the second half, like, that was poor from United. And I can't say that Oli did nothing wrong in that second half. Like, sure, he's not the one playing on the field, but I just think the system and the unfamiliarity of the system and the holes in the system got a bit exposed in the second half. I really do. I think Greenwood looked very foreign and out of place today. And so did Martial at times. Like, yeah, Martial played well on the left wing. He was whipping in a cross, but this guy's been scoring goals for us in the number 9 position, so why is he playing as a left winger now? And then I just think Bruno was trying to do too much in the middle. That's just my opinion. Like, I might be wrong, but that's the way I see it. And I just think it wasn't the right game to be experimenting, and I'm not going to change from that. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say, oh, actually, it was a good experiment. I don't agree with experimenting in big games, period, whether it works or it doesn't, because this is just one game. If he plays this 3 or 4 more times and it works, then I'll be like, fine, I'm putting my hands up, I'm sorry. It's the same with the back 5, and I ain't changing my opinion because it's a diamond. Like, I have to be consistent. I need enough evidence to say that this was a good decision.
I hear you 100%, but I just don't think it was. I think what he could have done, maybe could have changed earlier in the second half to suit how we're playing, because you can't really play the formation and counter. It doesn't really work. Like, if you're going to counter, just go back to the 2 mate. I don't know what's wrong today. I said you can't really play that formation and counter. So I think can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. You're cutting off, but just try to talk now.
Okay. I was saying that we played on the counter in the second half, and I think maybe the formation didn't really suit the counter. I think if we were going to counter, maybe we should have gone back to the 2 with McTominay sticking to his position and playing like the way we usually do, 4-2-3-1. So maybe that was why it didn't seem to work. But I do think even in the second half, off the ball, we were really good. On the ball, yeah, we were atrocious because we didn't really threaten them. But off the ball, I think we were still really good.
Defense-wise, yeah.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of fan opinion, guys. Like, if we agreed on everything, the show wouldn't be entertaining, right? So get down in the comments below. Let us know what you thought of the game, man. And please be sure to leave a like, and subscribe, It is a disappointing result, no doubt, but if it wasn't for De Gea's mistake, we might have actually won. We might have won. This is what we were saying back at Old Trafford. We might have won. Had De Gea just done his job, we might have won. Maybe we should be playing Henderson. No, I'm just kidding.
It is quite sad because we all wanted to win, but we're in a good vein. We're in a good run, in a good vein of form, and I think a point is not a bad result. I mean, Chelsea dropped points, and there's something in me that thinks that we could beat Man City, and I think if Pogba comes back for the game, that will strengthen us even more. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom.
It's not all doom and gloom, but I ain't gonna sit and say draw wasn't a bad result. Like I'm not gonna flip flop. I wanted to win before this game, and I think we needed to win. We didn't win, and I'm disappointed massively. Yes, a draw is not the worst case scenario. Yes, you can look at the context that De Gea conceded a goal, but in the history books, it won't say De Gea made a mistake. It'll say Everton scored, and so did Manchester United, and it was 1-1. So, you got to take it with a pinch of salt sometimes. But yeah, it's not doom and gloom. I'm not going to be one of those fans who's back. Ollie's a PE teacher. We didn't create enough chances. Oh, shut up. We hit the post once. Where Greenwood had a chance with a header, Igalo had a chance, Matic hit a good shot besides the one that hit the post. Luke Shaw had a half chance as well. So actually, Bruno took 2 questionable shots. He took 3. I remember him taking three shots in total. He scored one of them, obviously, but he took 2 very questionable shots outside the box where I think he tried to curl it in and it just didn't work out. The free kick that he took was a bit questionable when he tried to go for the chip thing. Yeah. Manchester United had about 6 corners in that game. So actually, I've given you 12 chances, 6 corners plus the 6 shots I just mentioned, 12 chances where Manchester United should have made something happen. That's not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's fault. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace out.